Welcome into another live edition, a Friday edition of Locked On 76ers. Keith Pompey, Marc Farzetta. Hey, Keith, only a 41-point loss to talk about, so that'll be fun. I got a big question about TJ DeLeo's rotations. Do you say that in the Summer League? I don't think so. Also, VJ Edgecombe addressed the media during the game last night, as does Jameer Nelson, and he provide, in a moment of just terrible basketball, some levity and some hilarity all at the same time. All that and more on this edition of Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And we do thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This particular episode is brought to you by the Gametime app. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase on the Gametime app. Beat writer for the 76ers, Inquirer.com, Keith Pompey. Marc Farzetta with you as well, breaking it all down when it comes to the 76ers. Before I get to the 41-point loss, we're going to get to why I believe this. But Inquirer.com, Keith, your fine publication, you and Mike Sealski wrote two fantastic columns that every 76ers fan needs to read. One is about the perspective of the VJ Edgecombe injury. And Keith, as we go back and forth with fans on social media, we see the comments on this show. I thought your article today really nailed it on how a lot of the fans feel. And absolutely. And I feel like I like the fact that in the article, you did what a lot of columnists don't do, or a lot of writers don't do, where they acknowledge the perspective. Like, hey, you have a great November. Nobody's going to care about what happened in Vegas. No one's going to care about what happened in Utah. Just have a great November, and you push it aside. I think that's a great thing to keep in mind. Also, it prevents anyone from labeling, well, this is a hot take, this doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. No. This is all in that perspective. Secondly, Mike Sealski's article, we took a stroll down not-so-great memory lane with an interview he did with Jir Colangelo, where he did ask about BRYAN Colangelo and his time here in Philadelphia and Burner Gate and all that. So I want to ask you for your perspective, Keith, on that time covering the 76ers, because that was just absolutely bonkers. So we'll cover all that, including last night's 41-point loss. Now, Keith, I just want to say, for the people that didn't stay up and watch this game, Dylan Harper did not play. Also, David Robinson has been retired for a long time. He did not play. Manu Ginobili also did not play. I just want to make sure people know that as well. Victor Wembanyama was there, but did not play. And still, somehow, the 76ers were blown out by 41 points. 111 to 71 and or 70. And also, just one last thing on perspective here. The other worst loss of the Summer League last night was 9 points. Sixers.
Yeah, horrible, dude.
Keith, I'm sorry. I've been talking too much already. By all means.
No, I mean, like, I told you yesterday. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when like, I told you yesterday when we were ending the podcast, and you said to me about the Summer League, and I said, dude, I don't want to watch the game. Like, for me watching them at the Salt Lake City Summer League, I knew that the butt whipping was coming. I just knew it. And I know you were like, yeah, but I want to see this. Dude, it was nothing. Like, if VJ Edgecombe isn't playing, and no offense to them, I don't really want to watch it. I have to. You have to, because but at the same time, you knew it was coming. And that was the worst. And I've been covering the Sixers for a while, right? Since 2013-14 season. This was this was the worst Summer League game that I've ever watched. And in a way, you know, I was a little disappointed that I wasn't in Vegas. But after watching that, I was like, dang, I would have been like beside myself at 10 p.m. at night watching what they threw out there. Now, here's the thing. I know we're going to talk about it later. But at first, I'm saying to myself, am I being tough on them? These are guys who are just trying to make a roster. And then when you see the interview with Jameer Nelson, and they're asking him about his kid, and he's basically shaking his head, saying how poorly they played. You're like, yo, maybe I'm not wrong. Like, you know what I mean? It was like he couldn't even enjoy his son playing, right? Because his son was busting his team's tail. And
I had the same vibe.
It was horrible, dude. It was bad. It was embarrassing for the 76ers organization, especially when you say the other worst loss was only 9 points. And they lost by 41. 41. They were being laughed at times. It was crazy.
Let's get into this right now, because this is far better to talk about than what actually happened in the game. So to set it up, they get the sideline reporters running around doing their jobs, doing a great job. They get VJ Edgecombe. We'll talk about him in a minute, but they get later in the game, and I felt like this was kind of a reward, if you will, for any 76ers fan or anyone who had to watch this game. I think it was the early fourth quarter. Sixers are getting blown out already by like 30. They get Jameer Nelson on the bench or in the stands there, and he's sitting there, I think, with Nick Nurse, who's not interviewed
Nick
for
Nurse
this.
is right next to him.
Yeah. And she says, how great is it? Basically, she puts a ball on a tee for an easy question. And it's a good first question from her, because she's not going to ask the question of like, man, this is terrible, Jameer. How do you handle this as an assistant general manager? She's not going to open with that, which is wise on her part. So she said, how great is it to watch Jameer Jr. out there playing for the San Antonio Spurs? And for those that didn't see it, Jameer Nelson's sitting there with his arms crossed. He's got a Philadelphia Phillies camo hat on, by the way. And he's sitting there. He's be like, yeah, that's great. I can't enjoy this. My team's playing terrible. Yeah. And it's like, literally, your son is playing. You want to bask in the moment of him playing, a professional basketball game and all that. But you can't, because you're now an assistant general manager, which is what he is now, assistant general manager of a team getting blown out by 30 in albeit a summer league game. This is what I was reminded of. I give a quick anecdote. You do book reports in school, right? Remember those days doing book reports?
Yeah.
I remember one day the teacher said, do this reading of this chapter of this book. And I was in 7th grade, I think I was. And nobody did the reading that night. And she finally decided to pop quiz book report on the chapter. So we all go up there. We have to go up one by one and just give like 1 minute on what we thought about it. And most of us did an okay job of BSing our way through it. But my buddy Dan, I'll never forget this as long as I live. He got up there, couldn't improvise. Nothing came to mind. All he did was just go, Mrs. Anderson, I am not prepared for this, and walked off. That was it. And last night I felt the Sixers walked out on the court in Vegas and just went, we are not prepared for this, and walked off, because it was so bad that Jameer Nelson couldn't even enjoy his son playing right in front of him.
Yeah. It was bad. I mean, it was a bad thing. But you know what? At the same time, I have mad respect for Jameer, because he was being accountable, right? Well, he I shouldn't say being accountable. What he was is he was being a little transparent. Like, yes, he couldn't. Like, it would have been selfish of him to say, yeah, my son looks good. He's being paid by the organization. And, typically people go up there and they make excuses. He could have easily said, you know what? VJ Edgecombe isn't playing. We built this team around him. We're trying to highlight him, showcase him, and we're just having a tough task. But no, he was talking about missed shots. He was talking about turnovers, like things that in regards to hustle plays, that effort, like the effort he felt like wasn't there. And I have to give him props for doing that, because it could have easily been making excuses. Now, they were embarrassed on national TV. And the bad part about it is, you look at the Spurs roster and, they didn't have, yes, you got the Bryant guy, he's going to be there. But for the most part, these were a lot of G League players or guys they just signed. For the Sixers, we're looking at Justin Edwards played. We're looking at Adem Bona. This guy Barlow, they just signed to a two-way. You expect him to get a chance to make the regular roster. Broom was out there, right? So it's kind of like they had guys who may have a chance to play this year. and they just got obliterated. It looked bad. It really looked bad.
There was a part early there in the first quarter of the game where Broom tried taking it to the rack and just got stuffed. It got a dunk blocked. There was another point. Bona got blocked on the down in the paint as well. Then later in the second quarter, you had a coast-to-coast layup, which was fun to see him take the ball literally from the defensive end in the corner to all the way down the other end of the court and get a layup out of that. You talk about how Jameer Nelson would have been a little tone deaf for saying like, oh, yeah, we're really enjoying my son here. The Sixers in the fourth quarter, Adem Bona gets a run-out dunk and just absolutely obliterates the rim. It was a great play by him. It was highlight reel stuff, but not when you're down at that point, I think 35. The Sixers took that part and pushed it out on social media, and just literally all the comments were like, what's the score? What's the score? What's the score? But anyway, it was a bad game. I think, especially a summer league game, you just bury it, you flush it, you move on from it, and you hope for better things. Now, when we come back, I do want to talk about VJ Edgecombe's comments and kind of give a perspective on that. Also talk about your article on Inquirer.com, kind of letting people know the goings-ons, both on the court, behind the scenes, and also with the fans as well, how they're feeling about, albeit summer league, just a bad start to what they were expected to be a nice turning of the page for the 76ers. We'll talk about that more when we return. This is Locked On 76ers on the Locked On 76ers YouTube channel. Let me tell you about the Gametime app. Want to go to the game, the concert, the comedy show? Gametime app has you covered. Ever decided last minute it's time to head to a ball game with friends and family? Maybe it's game day. You suddenly realize that you want to be in the stands for the big game. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. The easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without all the stress. With the money you save on tickets with the Gametime app, you can indulge in the food a little bit more, maybe an extra basket of crab fries or something. You can enjoy yourself a little bit more with the Gametime app. Buying tickets fast and simple, and they take the guesswork out of buying tickets, as you can literally see the vantage point of your seat before you buy it. That's what Gametime offers. Gametime is also the official ticketing partner of Locked On Major League Baseball. It's also the ticket provider for Locked On NBA as well. So make sure you take advantage of all Gametime app has to offer. Download the Gametime app today, create an account, use promo code LOCKEDONNBA. That's promo code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use the redemption code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So before Jameer Nelson got interviewed late in the game, VJ Edgecombe was addressing talking to the sideline reporter there in the second quarter, and used this phrase. Now, I applaud him, Keith, for being a guy that really wants to play basketball. It would be a dream come true, quote unquote. Keith, it would be a dream come true to play in the summer league. That's the exact quote. To give it context, he's talking about playing in Vegas. I'm sure he means that he also played one game already in the summer league, as we know. But to play in Vegas, it would be a dream come true. Then he went on to say, if they let me play.
Yeah. I think that was a little, I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No, go ahead. I was about to, go ahead.
That's a little transparent. Like, basically, when I heard that, it would be a dream come true if they let me play. So basically, it's telling me that the guy wants to play, right? He's revving the good out there. And it is a dream come true, like, for players to play in summer league. But, I guess the team is like, look, dude, a lot of times when we look at these summer leagues, I doubt if Cooper Flagg plays a lot of games. I doubt if other players play a lot of games. What you want to do is you want to get your guys out there for a little bit, and then all of a sudden you just shut it down. Like, I think Zion only played one game. Wemby only played one game, I believe, one or two, right? And for him, it is a rite of passage. Like, you see these guys, they go to Vegas Summer League, and then they just do highlight reels, and then everybody talks about it, right? They're on the top of the world. So for me, I do think that it would be a dream come true. But again, is up to is up to the 76ers if they feel like it's worth it or not. And let's face it, what we've seen of this team without them, if I'm a team that's playing them and the competition at this league is in this summer league is probably a little bit more competitive than it was in Utah, I'm straight blitzing him. I'm throwing everything at him. I'm trying to get the ball out of his hands. I'm trying to frustrate him. I'm trying to do whatever I can, because you look at it and you see that he is the number 1, the number 2, and the number 3 option right about now. So if I'm the Sixers, maybe I am having second thoughts about playing him. Now, again, they play tomorrow, and then they'll have a couple of days off, and then they have a back-to-back, right? So who knows? Maybe he could play against Washington. Maybe he could play against Dallas. But, these guys are going to be chomping at the bits, these young athletic players that they have loaded on these rosters to come after them. So we'll see. Yeah.
All right, so Charlotte's coming up Saturday, 6:30. Washington's coming up 8:30 Tuesday. Dallas is 8 o'clock on Wednesday. If you had to guess, Keith, your educated guess, your insider guess, what do we see him again? Do we see him again the rest of this summer?
I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't know.
Well, let me pose this a different way then. So he gets reevaluated on Saturday. Mm-hmm. Is there any shot that they'll reevaluate? It looks great. Go out there and play. Is that going to happen?
I mean, it could, but I would think that. And again, if it was me, I think I would probably play him one of the 2 games on Tuesday or Wednesday. You know what I mean? Like, it would either be 8:30 against Washington or 8 p.m. against the Dallas Mavericks. Now, again, the league would love that. Like, you could showcase him against, Cooper Flagg, or like Washington, him against, Trey Jones. Like, I think that if it was me, it would probably be the Washington game, because that will give you a week. Now, again, he is out there practicing. He's out there practicing with the Sixers, putting up shots or doing shooting drills and stuff like that. So, it is his offhand. So he could play. But if it was me, I think that if I was leading the show, and if I had to play in one game, it would probably be that Washington Wizards game.
Yeah, I just look, if he wasn't trying to learn a new position, or at least get comfortable in a new position, I honestly wouldn't care as much. If he came into the league as, let's say, a center, and he was a center in college, and he was coming in the NBA as a center and didn't have to learn to be like a stretch 3 or something ridiculous, then it's fine. But this is a shooting guard that is trying to learn the point guard ropes a little bit. Yeah. Like, there's a little bit of a leap that the Sixers still want him to take. If he goes into this season and goes through the season actually as just a shooting guard, an occasional swing man, and that's what he does, then I'm still fine with that. But you still need somebody to run the point. You don't have a true point guard, as you pointed out, other than Kyle Lowry. You're not expecting a lot from Kyle Lowry throughout the season. You're not expecting him to, being your starting 5 as your point guard. So if it wasn't a matter of getting his feet wet in another position other than just one game, and even in that one game, it wasn't like he was running point throughout the entire game. There was little snippets, and especially in the first half, and he was doing it, and he's bringing the ball up. Absolutely, he looked uncomfortable. Then I think as the game went on, he started to get, a little bit more comfortable as it went on. But if it wasn't for trying to get his feet wet in a different position, I'd be like most people probably, where I wouldn't care about the summer league as much. But you have a top 3 pick who is trying to mature into a new position a little bit. I want to see that at least come out to fruition a little bit in that summer league. So as far as rooting for him to play, well, yeah, he plays, it's more exciting. But from an even more specific standpoint, to see him continue to get better at a position that the Sixers are, quite frankly, asking him to get better at and more comfortable with, that's where I think this comes into play a little bit more than the usual, it's just summer league, who cares?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you when it comes to that.
Yeah. I do find one more thing interesting, though. What he said during his sideline interview was the Sixers, like, he's talked to Nick Nurse, he's talked to Daryl Morey, obviously. He did talk to Joel Embiid, he did talk to Tyrese Maxey, and even Maxey was there during the workout, so we knew that. But we didn't know if he had communicated with Joel Embiid yet. That's happened. But what was really interesting was the Sixers haven't really laid out any type of plan or, intention with how they're going to use him. He said that hasn't been identified yet. One, Keith, do you think that's true? And if it's true, that does seem a little, I would figure the first thing you would do when you sit down Other than, we're going to have you play point guard in Summer League, I would assume there's some kind of plan put in place.
Yeah, but you got to understand something. Typically, I mean, they have a general idea, but you also have to wait and see what goes on with Quentin Grimes. I think that once you finalize what you're going to do with him, if he comes back or not, then that's basically going to determine what they'll have roles and everything. And then also is one of those things where, it's a competition based thing too. You could say okay, this is what the plan is going to be after you realize it. But at the same time, let's say you got to earn it as well. I mean, so now again, if he was on the team and the team was, let's say when Ben Simmons joined the Sixers, you knew he was going to get the ball because the team was a tanking, getting over tanking. They were struggling. Mm-hmm. Well, this team aspires to come out of the East. So it's going to be one of those things where there's going to be a healthy competition. They have an idea, but they want to see what he can do. Now, again, they'll discuss things with him, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of promises. Now, if he went to the Washington Wizards or if he went to the Brooklyn Nets, the Charlotte Hornets, hey, look, bruh, you're going to be the shooting guard right now. We're going to do this. We're going to run some plays for you. We're going to make you an integral part. But right now, if Quentin Grimes comes in, it's hey, we want to see a healthy competition. So to me, it's not surprising yet. It's kind of what their focus is. We want to get you in the gym right now. We want to work on your ball handling skills, your point guard, being more of a point guard, and get you out in space and let you excel. So it's not surprising to me right now.
Fair enough. I just want to get a comment or two in here. Delco Green. What's up, Delco Green? Sixers are always the worst team in Summer League. No team basketball, just a bunch of one-on-one basketball. I think that's fair. Not a lot of chemistry, obviously, that you're building up in Summer League, unfortunately. This is a good. Okay, Love Christ wants to know, what do you think the players felt? How do you think the players? Well, these guys are going for jobs, Keith. I don't think they're feeling too good about it either.
No, they're not. But see, the thing about it is I'm looking at some of the players that are playing, and to me, it looks like guys are out there auditioning. You know how you go to, I want to say an AAU event, and it's kind of there's a whole bunch of Division I coaches in the gym. And sometimes you have players out there, instead of a coach will want to see how you can run an offense, how you can get people involved, if you can swing the pass, if you can do all the little intangible things to help a team win. The coaches want to see that. But to me, there was a bunch of guys out there who had the ball, and instead of them of trying to make the team better, I saw a lot of guys looking for their own shot. And to me, that is not what you want to see. So I get it. How do you think the guys felt? Well, the guys, to me, look like they felt like they were trying to get buckets, but the shots weren't falling. There wasn't a lot of ball movement. I mean, there was prime examples. There were a couple times I looked at guys who would give up the ball because they weren't in a good position, and then they would replant and reset, but the ball didn't come back. So what happens is the next couple times they got the ball, they were taking horrible shots because they knew they weren't going to get the ball back. So to me, it just looked like an AAU team, or it looked at a bunch of guys at a Nike camp, or trying to just get buckets instead of playing the right way. So that's how they felt to me.
Judah Mintz, by the way, led the team with 3 assists. So that would show little too much me basketball. All right, we got a quick break. Keith, I do want to ask you this. Take a couple more comments when we come back. Also, I want to take a quick stroll down memory lane. Not so great memory lane. I mentioned your article, Inquirer.com. I want to mention Mike Sealski's article, a mutual friend of ours, great writer as well. Talked to Jerry Colangelo, and did ask about his son, BRYAN Colangelo's time with the 76ers, and we all remember that. That did not go well. Talk about that more when we return. This is Locked On 76ers. So I remember thinking that this is just next to impossible. There's no way this could be that bad. There's no way that a general manager, president of basketball operations could possibly have burner accounts where he is talking about the health of players. We talked yesterday about HIPAA laws. This is violation of that. There's no way this is possible. Turns out it wasn't him, it was his wife, but it was information she was getting from BRYAN Colangelo. So Mike Sealski, Inquirer.com, calls Jerry Colangelo to talk to him about his time with USA Basketball as the president of basketball, USA Basketball, the 08 team, the Redeem team getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. And he talks to him about that for a while. Then he couldn't help but to ask about BRYAN, and BRYAN Colangelo is now out of basketball. And it was kind of the perspective of a father defending his son, which I think is not uncommon for a lot of fathers. But definitely a perspective, and Mike even mentions it in the article, saying that as only a father, he gives a grace to his son as only a father can. And I thought that really summed it up rather well.
Yeah.
But when you go ahead.
No, go ahead. You got it.
I was just going to say, when you think back on covering the Sixers during that time and the wild time that it was, because the Colangelos were supposed to come in here and save the Sixers from the process, ended up pushing a lot of chips in the middle of the table that did not work out for the 76ers.
Yeah, it was a mess, though, before they came in. Like, I mean, if we're going to be real, like, it got to a point where, I mean, Jahlil Okafor, I love Jahlil, but he was in the streets of Boston fighting. He was speeding over this, doing that. The culture was already messed up. I didn't have a problem with the Colangelos. I actually liked Jerry. Like, I mean, to a point, like Mike asked me, hey, you got Jerry's phone number? I want to give him a call. Like, yeah, sure. Here, give him a buzz, right? Like, to a point, like, I'm telling you about a nice guy. I think what happened is when BRYAN came in, it was a bad situation because you had people expecting, you had people upset because of Sam was let go. BRYAN was trying to make trades and trying to do things, but his hands were tied because of, everybody knew you were trying to trade guys. So he was in a bad spot. Now, what he did was wrong was he became frustrated. And they shouldn't have had that burner account. Like, you just shouldn't have had, because, the burner account was giving out great information. I mean, I'm here to tell you, giving out great information. Like, you had to confirm it. It was like, oh, this is true. But at the same time, it's like, dude, it cost him his NBA career by doing that. And you can always say, like, in Jerry, Jerry's saying, look, he had nothing to do with it. It was his wife. But at the same time, Mark, you and I both know if you came home and told your wife some information and that was supposed to be top secret, and you're divulging it to your wife, and your wife goes online and is blabbing it out to everyone, you're going to lose your job. You know what I mean? You're just going to do it. So to me, it was arrogant, and it wasn't smart, man. It just wasn't. But it goes to tell you how crazy the process was. I mean, think about it. You got Hinkie, drafting 3 consecutive centers, 3 years drafting centers with the first overall pick. And then all of a sudden he gets fired because the team goes 10-72. He comes out with this long resignation letter. Then you have Colangelo come. Then all of a sudden you have Brett Brown calling Zaire Smith the second coming of Kawhi, right? Then you have
getting rid of McCall Bridges, if I may.
Yeah, Mikal Bridges for that, right? But to me, when we look at it, the moves that they all made were basically similar moves, the things that they were doing. And it lets me know that a lot of these guys just didn't have a lot of power. They may have fronted like they did, but they didn't, because they were still making the same moves. And it's unfortunate because we've never were able to see what Hinkie could do if he could turn the team around. Colangelo, we never really got to see what he could do because of the burner gate thing and this and that. It was just a bad situation. But again, it was a great article that Silsky had. The first time that somebody actually commented on the thing, the Colangelo. But yeah, it did come across like this is a father who loves his son and was taken up for him and everything. So it was crazy.
I look back on that time and I think about all the chips that were acquired by Sam Hinkie. And look, you could disagree all you want with the process. Everyone knew what the goal was. To be terrible, accumulate assets, get the expiring deals to get to the floor, the cap floor, all that stuff. But yes, it could work, but do you want to dedicate that much time being bad? And if that really does have a bad culture that is bred from it, and it did. But the thing I remember about BRYAN Colangelo is I look back on that he got all these chips. With one of the chips, he flipped for Markelle Fultz with Danny Ainge. He's the one that made that deal. I remember the meniscus tear with Joel Embiid. It's not a tear. Oh, wait, it is a tear. What is happening? I remember him copping an attitude with Michael Barkan when he was asked about the meniscus injury, the classic, "Oh, are you a doctor?" line. It's like we all know who the doctors are, okay? And it's not us. And then I think about after he was gone, Brett Brown was calling the shots for like 20 minutes. And in those 20 minutes, the Zaire Smith, as you mentioned, and Mikal Bridges deal. Then Elton Brand takes over, flips in everything for Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris that year. And then it just started to unravel. But I'll never forget, as long as I live, Eric Jr., as I like to call her when I was on the radio, Babs Botini, his BRYAN Colangelo's missus, who was putting the stuff out there. It was a wild, wild time. Unfortunate, but definitely a wild time. One that we'll never forget. I want to get a couple comments.
Let me take up for Brett for a second, though.
Sure.
Because the thing is, a lot of people want to criticize Brett for making that trade, and he's going to go down as the one who did. But the way that I was told, there was an owner who really ran the draft that year. He was a minority owner. His name was David Heller. And so apparently when they get Mikal Bridges, now David Heller and everybody else they fell in love with Zaire because Zaire was dunking on everyone in the pre-draft workouts. He was raw. They felt like he had the biggest upside of anyone. They knew the team was going to be good and coming down the road. So they thought this was going to be their last swing. So basically it was like, hey, Brett, and I'm paraphrasing right now, like, hey, Brett, you think we should trade for this? Zaire, this and that. What do you think, Brett? But but the question was like asked in a way
it was suggested.
It was suggested. Yeah, it was very much suggested. So Brett begrudgingly was like, yeah, let's do it. Like one of those things. So then he had to go out there and then he had to go out there and they put him out in the front and he had to defend it. And then that's when he came out with the Kawhi thing, trying to like hype it up. But deep down inside, I heard that he was hurt. Like I heard that he was like, wow, because he knew that it was going to turn into like everything had to go right. And unfortunately, it didn't go right for them. So he took the fall for that one, but it was really the ownership. It was
fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough. I like that. Because I mean, in all honesty, I really liked Brett Brown. I had a lot of respect for him. Like to come in from the Spurs, and he got his payday as a coach, and good for him. He got to be a head coach. But a guy wants to win. That guy wanted to win, but he knew the circumstances he was in. And I know we've talked about this before, and I think it was even you that asked the question in the bubble about everyone kind of knew the writing was on the wall about Brett, and he wasn't going to come back. And I think the question was, did you ever get a full opportunity with a healthy roster to show what this team could do? And I'll never forget it. It's a very simple quote. It's the easiest quote you can have. No.
Yeah.
And that was that. I'll never
forget. That was crazy.
It.
I mean, they used to take up for Brett all the time, like other coaches who knew, like, and we're talking about well-respected coaches. It's like, man, I couldn't do what he does. I know you guys want to kill him, but I couldn't cope with this. And it was just like, wow, like, you feel bad for him because he probably may never get a head coaching job again. Never.
Mm-hmm. I just see a question up here. Just when's the next summer league game? Saturday at 6:30. Do you know if Edgecombe's going to get evaluated before that, Keith?
I don't know. You would assume. I mean, you would assume, right? Because that's
no. We schedule it.
Yeah,
we scheduled it for after the game.
Yeah, you would assume.
David McCoy was signed up for that. He knew what it was. Brett Brown. Okay, fair enough. Eric Dogan, hello. Don't let VJ play with that loser energy anymore. I think that just means the Sixers in general. Love Christ. In all fairness, the Spurs are the number 2 pick. He didn't play last night because of injury. True.
That's
I don't know if they're being as transparent as the Sixers, though.
Yeah, they said this guy from the Gate wasn't going to play, and then they're talking about he'll probably come back on Saturday. So yeah, they were more transparent than the Sixers were.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they didn't say that a contusion will lead to a sprain.
No.
Go figure. Larry K, what's going on? The Colangelo just didn't go off on their own and invade the 76ers organization and take over. It was Adam Silver. I agree with that. And the NBA, they inserted the Colangelos into Philadelphia. I agree. And that's why I think also, Keith, when we talk about the stadium supposedly getting built in
crazy,
Center
right?
City.
The NBA
this is what I loved about what the Flyers did. The Flyers called Dad. Dad is Adam Silver. And they said, hey, we know you've got involved with these people before and with the process. We need you to get involved now. Who is the Flyers? The Flyers are Comcast. What is Comcast? NBC. NBC has the rights to the TV deal now with the NBA. Call your boy. Tell him he's staying in South Philly. Called him. They stayed in South Philly. They got that deal done. So that's the way that worked out. Keith, another fun-filled week, my friend. Another fun-filled week. People in the chat, we appreciate you guys joining in. It'll be, Mr. Sam. Let me get my man's Cooper Flag only scored 10 points. Does that mean he's a bust? Absolutely. And I didn't even say
he's a scrub. I mean, he's a scrub. The difference is he only had to score 10 points. Look, like if you watch the game, like Cooper Flag was picking spots. He was getting teammates involved. He did what he had to do. It's all about, being a good team player. Like, I don't know, like Cooper Flag, I'm telling you, he had back-to-back plays. One where he came down and dunked the ball. Then the next one he came down and hit his short jumper. And then later on, Bronny, said he stripped him. And who knows if he did or not. But then Cooper Flag's like, forget that. We're like at the, they reset. Cooper Flag, forget that. We're just going to get this over with quickly and hit a jumper over him. Like, so, man, I get what you're saying, DJ, a.k.a. Mr. Sandman. But, bruh, if you watch the game, you can tell that Cooper Flag is special. And he was just on cruise control. Like, let my teammates eat. That's what you say about a good player, a good teammate, too.
I think Mr. Sandman's calling out people that think he has to put up 30 points every game. I think that's a little bit more. Appreciate everybody in the chat. You guys are great as per usual. We'll be back with you guys Monday for all new edition. Hey, maybe we'll do something Saturday if Cooper Flag. No, I'm thinking. If VJ Edgecombe actually plays, but we'll let you guys know if that happens. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to Locked On 76ers. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to really all things Locked On sports across wherever you get your podcasts and all that fun stuff. And as far as your next listen, make sure you guys check out Locked On NBA podcast, where there is no off-season. Doug, Matt, and Hayes keep you up to date on contract negotiations, rumors, everything you need to be the most informed NBA fan. Find Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Keith Pompey, make sure you guys are checking out his article today on Inquirer.com. Check out our man Mike Sealski's as well while you're over there. We'll be back with you guys on Monday. Until then, here's hoping that we'll see VJ Edgecombe play a healthy basketball game come Saturday night at 6:30. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Back with you guys next week. Look forward to it. See you guys then. Bye.